Okay, class, so since you have a snow day tomorrow and you lucked out, I thought it would still be beneficial if you could learn how to set up a sterile field so that when class happens on Monday, you'll be prepared. The supplies that you see in front of you are what I'm going to be using. These are all in your tote bag with the exception of the sterile bowl. And all I've done, you can do this at home, is taken a bowl and wrapped it up in a kitchen towel. So you very much can do this all from home. And that's one of the reasons we have you guys buy tote bags, is so that you can practice in case of a snowstorm. Okay, so here what I've got in front of me, I have the sterile field. Now the ones that come in your kit are poly-lined, meaning that they're waterproof. And I don't know if you can see this good a detail, but my sterile field has this layer of plastic. And so that means I'm not worried about drips because it's not going to permeate through to the ground. I've also got gauze, so in the case of a sterile wound dressing, you're going to want to pick whatever size gauze that you need to fill that wound. I have the utensils for filling the wound. I've got Q-tips and a tongue depressor. It's all personal choice. And then I have the sterile water that you can use to moisten the gauze. And whenever you open a clean thing of sterile water, you want to make sure that you date, time, and initial it. And this is good for 24 hours after it's opened. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my package for my sterile field. And it lays out kind of like this. I find the fold, and I just pick it up right in front of me and let it naturally come undone. Now remember, you have that 1-inch border. And so you can touch all around that 1-inch border and let it unfold. The side that is going to touch the table should be the side that's facing you, because that's the side you're breathing on and your germs can go on that. And you just lay it down, just like that. To add supplies to your field, you're going to open the package away from you. You want to start, you can peel it like this. And there are several methods for applying things to your field. I like the method of pinch and unfold. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the top bit and pinching it up, and then I pull the wrapper. That way when I go over my sterile field, my arm is completely protected by the wrapper. And then you just drop and let it go. Now when your gauze falls, it doesn't have to fall perfectly, but you want it to go within that 1-inch border. And so that's okay.
Happens if the item you drop lands on your 1-inch border? Well, first, don't panic. It's okay. That item's not hurting anything. You're actually going to leave it in place where it is. And in your head, you're going to draw a new imaginary 1-inch border around all the contaminated items. So your sterile field is smaller, but it's still a good sterile field, so you can continue to use it and set up your supplies.
Okay. I can't touch anything on my sterile field until I put on my sterile gloves. Another method that you'll see for people putting gauze on their field is to open it like this and just slide it on that way. And that's perfectly acceptable too, as long as you're not reaching over your sterile field. Q-tips are a little bit more tricky, and even for the experienced nurse, they can be the bane of setting up a sterile field. The way I do them is I peel them across, and then I just kind of pinch them there. I pull the wrapper, and then you can just drop them onto your sterile field. And that went surprisingly well. I promise it doesn't always go like that. To apply the tongue depressor, same thing, and this package has already been opened, but like you, I am stranded at home on the snow day, so I'm trying to make do with what I've got. You pull back, and then just drop it on your field. The last part before we put on our sterile gloves is to get our moistening solution, and we want to use sterile saline depending on what your provider orders say. So here I've got my sterile bowl. The way it's wrapped, I want to do that process of opening away from me. So the first one's going to open away, and then you're kind of just rotating your bowl, opening away. You never want to cross over the exposed bowl. Once you have it done, you can grab underneath and just set it on your field. And I generally recommend setting it there to the side so that it's easier to pour your solution. I then pick up my solution of water or saline, making sure that it's date, time, and initialed. If not, I put it on there. I open it. If it was previously opened, then I want to do a process called lipping, meaning you splash just a little bit out into the trash can, and that theoretically washes any bacteria off of the lid, and so you don't contaminate your sterile field. I approach from around on the side so that, again, I'm not reaching over my sterile field, because anything you reach over, you want to treat as contaminated. I'm just going to reach over and pour a little solution in there. You don't have to pour the whole bottle. You won't need very much to do the saline. Last thing I want to do is my sterile gloves. Now remember, your sterile field is going to be taking up a majority of your bedside table, so you're going to have to be a little creative of where you put your sterile gloves. You can walk all around as long as you keep your eyes on your sterile field. And that's my cat there. He's our foster, so if anyone's looking to adopt, he gets fixed this weekend. All right. Sterile gloves go on. If you have nubs, you can adjust your nubs. And then come back over to your sterile field. It's at this point you can then fluff your gauze. The reason you fluff your gauze is because you see how it kind of looks like this lattice structure? That's what's going to adhere to the lining of the wound and help bring the wound closer together. So we want to fluff it out. And it's easier to do this before it gets wet. If you ever tried to undo a wet paper towel, it's kind of the same thing. So I just dip it in my solution. I want it to be moist, but not soaking wet. So you're going to wring out any extra. And I don't know if you can see there, but I got a drop of water here. It's not a big deal because my drape is polylined, so meaning it's waterproof. So those drops of water are perfectly acceptable. I don't have a wound here to show you how to do the wound dressing, but you'll learn that next week. I will show you that the easiest way to then put this in the wound is to kind of curl it up in your hand, and then as you're filling the wound, you kind of let it come out and use your utensil to stuff. That'll make more sense when you guys see the wound. Okay, you are welcome to watch this video as many times as you want for starting up a sterile field. You also have your Evolve modules, which will give you step-by-step instructions, as well as your DocuCare. So use your resources and have a great snow day. Thank you.